The internet wants you to know a little about everything,
A headline here, a trending topic there,
just enough to have an opinion.
but never enough to understand.
This is You Know Too Much.
A show about the opposite.
The people who go all the way down the rabbit hole,
The collector,
the overthinker.
the obsessive,
Every episode, we sit down with someone who knows too much.
and find out why it matters. Follow along on Instagram and youknowtoomuch.media.
Stream on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
Because the best stories
Come from people who know way too much.
I'm Danny Robinson, and I know too much about why the Dick Van Dyke Show still holds up over 60 years later.
brilliant. Thank you.
Love it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, tell it. We need to know more. Tell us more.
When you asked me, and I started thinking about things I know something about, and I've always been the person who knows a little bit about a lot of things. So I'm good in trivia, but I'm not really good going deep on anything. So I had trouble thinking about that, including things that I enjoy. And this was the only thing that popped up that said if I were in a trivia contest against the Van Dyke lovers, there I could compete. But something about the show, unlike a lot of shows that I watched when I was a kid, and I watched a lot of television. I mean, a lot of television.
Okay.
Something about this show outlasted all those others. And if I start to interrogate it, I think it is a combination of things. But the first thing is the writing. I do think it's one of the best written shows ever. And Carl Reiner
Was the writing
producer.
was the writing different from back then? And
Yeah, it was smarter than most shows. I mean, a lot of shows back then were either idealized versions of home life, like Father Knows Best or Leave It to Beaver, or just really broad slapstick gag stuff like I Love Lucy or The Munsters or Addams Family, which was pretty well written. But this show for me, it was real and it was smart, and it was, even though it used slapstick at times, the humor was never broad, and it felt authentic in a way that other shows just did not. It figured out a way to do comedy smartly, and it wasn't about the gag. It was about real life.
have
That
you
does
been
come back to the writing then, right? It's got to be really...
Yeah, ultimately. Well, every show really ultimately comes back to the writing and maybe a little bit of the acting, but the writing is the thing that makes that show. And I remind people, Carl Reiner is a heck of a writer, heck of a comedian.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the show had were people already legends when they did the show, or did they become legends from doing that?
No, none of them really. I think Carl Reiner was the only one anybody probably knew. And he was on the show, but he didn't appear. You didn't see his face until probably 4 seasons in. Dick Van Dyke, certainly people knew him, but Mary Tyler Moore was a child. She was like 21 years old. I don't think she had done anything really. And the other supporting cast members were kind of bit players.
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody knew anybody by name before that show.
Okay. And did you watch, were you always just sort of keying into it throughout life, or did you at one point be like, I'm rewatching everything again from episode 1, or have you done that several times?
Well, there was a time probably in my late teens, 20s, where I watched it quite a bit, or maybe earlier, maybe junior high school, watched it quite a bit, but you could only watch it when it came on television, wherever that was. So that was occasional. Then it was on TV Land, if anybody remembers that channel.
I was trying to explain syndication to my 8-year-old child and failed.
Yeah.
That was such an impactful thing. We didn't get to make that choice for ourselves, right? Whatever was on was on.
So I could only watch it when it came back. It was on TV Land, and then to my joy, and then it went away. Then they took it off TV Land, and then I guess TV Land maybe went away, but they took it off TV Land. So my wife bought me the 5-disc season DVD for people who know what that is. So
I thought you were going to say Blu-ray. I thought that.
No. And so I watched it. Then I watched one episode every day. I went through the whole season, and then kind of fell off. And then I found it on Peacock like 5 years ago. So every night for 5 years, I've watched an episode. Pretty much, if I'm not out of town. I watch an episode every night, my wife and I, before
Wow,
going to sleep for
that's
the
amazing.
past 5 years.
Oh my gosh. Do you have a favorite
Streaming.
episode?
Of course I do.
Tell us
I,
more.
I have many. A
The
show
number
called
one clear favorite
number one clear favorite, and then a bunch of twos and
up
threes.
there. Yep. Yep.
There's a show called All About Eavesdropping. And again, this is an
Love it
old show, so
already.
anybody knows what All About Eve is. This was a
Mhm.
okay. All About Eavesdropping is by far my favorite show, and then 2 through 10 are all lumped together.
Why is the eavesdropping one your favorite? What is it about
It
it?
is why it's incredibly simple. It takes place pretty much in two different places, and every character, for the most part, on the show is together at the end of at the second half of the show, and it's really a really smart, funny, surprising story about Rob and Laura, who are main characters married to each other, overheard their neighbors talking about them in a not nice way the night that they had to go over to their house for a dinner party. So they went over to their house not happy, but they had to go over because two people they invited were at that party, so they had to show up. So they came in very cold and were cold the entire show. And it was just we all know why as viewers, and nobody understands what's wrong with them. And it's just they played it incredibly well. And then they played a game of charades. You have to see the show to understand.
Yeah.
It,
Oh, I
it
can't wait.
it's a good show. It's a good episode.
So good.
I'm gonna watch it tonight. I can't wait.
It's yeah.
Would you say this had any sort of impact on where you went in your life, career wise?
I know it's funny. Maybe. I mean the show is about a show. So the Dick Van Dyke Show is about Dick who works for writing for a comedy show. So it's very meta.
Know that.
He writes for
Now
the
he's with
Alan
Carl
Brady
Reiner.
show. Yeah, Carl Reiner is
Right?
Alan Brady, and
Yeah.
he writes for the Alan Brady show. So a lot of the show was in a writer's room with two other writers going through the process of writing. And I think one of the reasons it's real is Carl Reiner took that from his time writing for a comedy show. So it's a very meta show. He produces a show about a writer on a show that he's the host of.
Yeah.
And he took that from writing on the show, Your Host of Hosts, where he was a writer in a writer's room. So I maybe, I mean, I often credit Bewitched and Dick Van Dyke with forming my thoughts about what I might do as a career.
Wow.
Because he was a writer, a comedy writer. And then Darren Stevens on Bewitched was a art, I guess he was an art. We weren't sure he was an art director or writer, but he worked for an ad agency.
Yeah.
And both of those shows were two of my favorite shows. So maybe subconsciously, I didn't really know what advertising was, or comedy writing, but maybe subconsciously.
Yeah. Interesting. I think it's so interesting because I know I Love Lucy forwards and backwards. Like,
Yep.
I grew up with a grandmother. We watched I Love Lucy and then we watched Wheel of Fortune, and that was like what we did. So I know every I Love Lucy episode like forwards and backwards.
I do too.
And
We could have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
some people are always like, oh, Lucy walked so that Dick Van Dyke Show could run. And I feel like I really haven't seen a lot of the Dick Van Dyke Show, but it does feel like both of those shows were sort of talking about, like you said, like the constructs of marriage and sort of that traditional realm and how does it break out from that. And then there was always sort of, you're right. I mean, Lucy was much more shenanigans, like the wife.
Yeah, there was gags.
Yeah, and gags and comedy in that sense. What else would you say that the Dick Van Dyke Show sort of played on and like kind of made contributions in a cultural sense?
Well, if you look at Mary Tyler Moore's character, probably the first time that a housewife, I'll use that phrase, wasn't stereotypical. She had a point of view. She wasn't subservient. She wore capri pants.
Yes, my grandmother used to say that. She'd be like, always wearing pants.
Yes, women didn't wear pants on television. Certainly, housewives wore dresses. She changed her hairstyle every season. She cut it. She was a progressive female character on that show in a way that if you look at the housewives previously, they were stereotypical housewives. I mean, they cooked and cleaned, and She did that too, but she also had a career before she was married. She was a partner, usually smarter than her husband. And that is a different, I think that opened doors for the way women were portrayed on television.
Because her
And
her next moves was the Mary Tyler Moore Show, right?
I maybe that doesn't make, I mean, probably it doesn't
She
make sense because the show went off in 66. That's a long time between gigs.
Mm.
I can't think of her on another show.
Yeah, she did movies, and I'm sure there was a few different films in between that. But I think
Yeah.
I also remember the Mary Tyler Moore Show just being
Yep.
so like feminist, sort of
Yes, very much so.
changing the
Single woman.
Mhm. A single
with
woman
a job.
not depending on a man,
Right.
not married, and had
Right.
a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like
And
the
didn't have a child.
after housewife, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
So there's that. And the other thing is I think characters were developed on this show, had their own stories and own backstories. And most of the shows before them, you didn't, you knew the characters, secondary characters' aunt's name, or you knew what they did before they were working on this show, on the Dick Van Dyke, on the Alan Brady show. You knew backstories and they were fully developed characters. I think a lot of shows, even Lucy, Fred was Fred, but you didn't know anything about Fred.
Right.
You didn't know anything about Ethel. You didn't know where she came from, you didn't know anything about the characters before the show. And this show has spent a lot of time helping you understand who these people were. So it did things that shows at the time didn't do, and shows today do a better job of.
And we'll be right back after this.
We spotted mindless drinking patterns that didn't elevate your experience. That's why Osea developed clean beverages that support how you want to feel without alcohol, THC, or mushrooms. Visit us at drinkosea.com. Madison built Only Olive because every chili crisp on the shelf was made with seed oils and additives. Now, it's in 3 flavors made with 100% olive oil. Buy now at eatonlyolive.com.
And now, back to the show. You're going to be creating an advertising show soon.
I am not.
Too soon?
Yes, decades too soon.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the thing is like, what do you want us to take away? I mean, I love that you know too much about this. I'm now super interested. I would say the only clip I know from that show is Mary Tyler Moore's character hitting the pool shot. So there's
that you know.
That's the only clip I know. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why we went from I Love Lucy to never watching the other, the Dick Van Dyke Show. And the only thing I know, and I'll set this up for you, Eva, if you haven't seen it, is basically her and her husband are playing a game of pool. She's like, I gotta go. And he's like, please just finish this game. Just finish this game. And she's like, okay, fine. And it's essentially like these pool balls are all like kind of pushed together in one part of the pool table. And the whole thing was that she would shoot it and it was a trick shot and that she would make it. But originally they knew that she wouldn't make it. She doesn't play pool, and that they would just do a cutaway from a professional having done it. But in the shot, she hits it and it is a trick shot and it all works. And so you could just see like her face, his face, the audience. Like, it's like such that one golden moment in television where all the things just work out right. And so she gets to be sly and coy and witty in her response, but also it's even better because she actually makes the shot, which no one was expecting.
Hilarious. That's the one. That was the last scene of the show.
Really? What?
Yes, that was the last scene. It was always Hustle a Hustler. Buddy's brother, Blackie, was a pool shark and couldn't convince Buddy that he was reformed. So what he did was he hustled Rob into a pool game and lost a lot of money to him. Rob lost a lot of money. And then Buddy came in and he tore up the check to show him that he's a changed man. But that was the very last scene, that they were still down in the basement together.
The only other thing I know of is like something about walnuts. That's all. Like there was some walnut phenomenon. I don't.
Which episode was that?
I don't know. I'm waiting to get on this with Danny so that you can explain what it's the walnut thing.
It is that was their Emmy-winning show. They won 15 Emmys, I think. That was their Emmy-winning show. It was a fever dream about it's so ridiculous. Rob watched a TV show before going to bed about too complicated to explain. He watched a show. He watched a horror show, and walnuts was part of the show, and he had a dream about walnuts. It's the famous scene. He opens a closet door, and Mary Tyler Moore comes swimming out in a sea of walnuts. Yeah, that's a well-known show. That's probably the best known show. It's not my favorite, but
Okay. Where is that in
Is
the
that at
lineup
the
of all the
top five?
seasons?
season that's probably two or three, two or three.
Wow. Man, I really could put you on a trivia team. I feel like I'd be like, and the name of this episode was this. What season?
Oh, I can name almost every episode if you give me the log line.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with that show. So if you're keeping score, watch All About Eavesdropping.
Yep.
Watch Three Letters from One Wife, my second favorite, and Coast to Coast Big Mouth.
Okay. Is there anything else you want the masses in the world to know about the Dick Van Dyke Show?
Well, other than it was really a blueprint for what sitcoms could be. It had heart, right? It felt realistic. It wasn't about the gag. It was about the story and home life, working life, but friendship kind of overlaid on top of all of that. And yeah, I will always go back to how well it was written and how perfectly casted it was. As everybody's character everyone was really good. Not a weak character in the show. And yeah, if you look at shows that preceded or that followed it, it's clear that it had influence on the way shows were written. And there's a lot of weirdness in that show. The parents of Rob and Laura changed throughout the seasons, and the same characters would show up in the show as a different person later. And they did all this intentionally, I guess. And a lot of weird in some non-continuous storylines, but none of it mattered because it all felt like it was done purposefully and just really, really good.
It all worked.
I suggest anyone wants to be a writer, watch the show, look at the timing, see how jokes work. And then you can't beat the physicality of Dick Van Dyke. It's just amazing that without that, the show is maybe not my favorite. But you layer on top of all of that, what he does with his body and his face and timing is the reason that show is so great.
I love that. That's awesome.
And it's very specific. The quote is with specificity comes universality, right? The more specific you get, the more people universally get it. They were really, really specific about things. And that's because they were good writers. It just really.
Wow.
Nothing was taken for granted. Nothing was phoned in.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Eva, do you have any thoughts or questions? Anything further?
No, I am curious now that you're into your even more unbothered phase of your life. Are you still doing an episode a night, and is it in succession or do you skip around? Oh no.
No.
Not at the very end. We got a frozen Danny. He's
Come back, Danny.
so unbothered. He went into
That was the word.
that was it.
That was the buzzword. Okay.
Well, I said, you guys, I thought you were frozen. So I've already watched it in succession many times. So now, but yes, the answer is yes, absolutely. That's what I go to sleep with, but not in order.
Okay.
As long as Peacock has it. There are 153 episodes, and it seems like every single one I've seen yesterday. Every time I try to find what's that. I think I just saw that. Of course, I did not. I think I've seen it. I've watched too many. That's what it feels like.
Ingrained into your brain.
Great time. I may take a break.
Yeah. I mean, I have friends. I have friends who, like, in the morning they will get ready to Seinfeld, or whenever they're like, getting ready for work or go out, they'll turn on an episode of Friends. I've never done that. I don't have a show. I think I Love Lucy might be the only thing I've seen more than once ever. It's like rare that I see anything, a movie, a show, anything. I will not see anything twice. So I love that people have this like sort of comfort. They have like a comfort show
for the content, right?
Yeah, the fact that you watch it before you go to sleep. the other examples. I don't know. Eva, do you have a show?
I can definitely recite copy from Law and Order as
Law and Order.
episodes of
What?
like, again, it's like the syndication of it. It just caught me in a time in my life where there was access to all of that before I could choose whatever I wanted. And so having it on in the background can feel pretty comforting, but like early era Lenny Briscoe, first few seasons are what warm my heart the most.
And you can recite lines from Law and Order? That's,
Definitely.
I don't know how there's no rhythm. See, comedies, there's a rhythm. There's no rhythm to Law and Order.
Lenny had some classic one-liners.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe not dialogue from the episode, but certainly some good one-liners for sure.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, Kamala, I've tried this with other shows and nothing works. And shows I like, but I tried.
Nothing stands up, right?
No, nothing sticks. So you maybe just haven't found yours yet.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe you don't want one.
Maybe not. I do also have the Disney version, the animated Robin Hood. I watched every morning before school
Oh,
in 1985-ish. So when that comes back on, it activates something in my deep brain. Yeah.
good.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Well, we are at the point where pretty much just saying the show during the show. I mean, just every line.
That's so good.
You give me a line, I'll tell you the show. Just a sentence. Doesn't matter where it is in the show. At this point, I think that might be a problem.
We're gonna do a follow-up episode after Pamela and I get a few more episodes under our belts, and we can do a quiz follow-up.
Yeah, well, you better go very deep.
Now I have
Love
to go.
it.
Now I have to go subscribe to another
Very,
channel.
Gonna be.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the question. I'm sure I know there are questions I don't know the answer to, which I find that amazing. But I know there are questions I know the answer to.
Do you think they ended it at the right time?
No,
Longer?
it actually got better
Oh.
the last couple of seasons. But Dick Van Dyke had to go make movies. Went to make Bye Bye Birdie, I think.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
No, after that was
Really?
good. Love that movie. Yeah,
Love Chitty Chitty
Yeah.
Bang Bang.
It's a good one.
I love that.
Yeah.
Ooh, classics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bye Bye Birdie.
So yeah, it could have gone a season or two more, but it'd been fine for me.
Yep.
Yeah. They broke up the band.
A few more episodes.
Yeah, just
Get into the rotation.
a couple.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to say thank you for sharing the Dick Van Dyke Show with us. This
You're
is
welcome.
awesome. I am just so, and I just love it. I love that you know too much about this. It completely tickles my heart and just makes me happy. And now it's just something I know more about. And now I'm definitely going to go. I think we're both going to go dive in now.
Check it out.
Shopping.
So
All
I'm
that
only
eavesdropping.
once. I'm only going to watch it once.
You Know Too Much is a Mavenverse production.
Explore more at youknowtoomuch.media.
Follow us on Instagram and YouTube to keep the obsession going.
And stream the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe, rate, review, all the things.
5 stars only.
See you next time.